Hi all, it's
Oh, we going?
Karen and
Pluto.
coming at you with another movie review for Karen and Bluto's Not Another Review channel. So this
Yep.
is what, our fourth one now? Fifth?
Oh,
Fifth.
moving
Fifth.
right along.
Yeah, we're moving along. Just gotta edit it. So,
Yes. Awesome movie this time.
another good
We
movie,
both like it.
an absolute classic, 1960, black and white, Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock. So this is the Blu-ray we have here. It has some bonus features and everything. I don't remember exactly when I watched this movie.
I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, I never saw it until after I met Bob.
Of course.
So I don't even,
Of
like I
course.
said, I don't even remember when I watched it. It's not that it's really even a horror movie. It's more of a thriller, I would say, psychological a little
But it's
bit.
good.
But it's a very, very good movie.
Yep.
This is rated R. It is rated R.
No.
Yeah, it says R.
That was a re-rating. They didn't have ratings back
Yeah,
in
I was going to say,
1960.
I didn't think they had it, but I was just kind of looking.
That came out in 68, I think. Ratings.
Yeah, something like that. It was right after Night of the Living Dead, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay, see, I do remember some things.
This
Despite
is not an R-rated movie. I'm sorry.
Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. This is an hour and 49 minutes, I thought.
But it doesn't seem like it.
Which it doesn't, because, I mean, literally, it keeps your attention the whole time. It's a great movie.
Yep.
And it even says Alfred Hitchcock's most shocking film.
Yeah, yes, maybe. I don't know.
So, kind of starts out, goes to this, like, little CD hotel.
CD? They didn't have CDs back then.
CD, like, not too great.
Okay.
Little hotel with
it's a pretty big one.
With our main character, one of our main characters, Marion Crane. And she's there with her lover,
whatever,
I guess I would call it, Sam Loomis.
Yeah. Not the Sam Loomis.
Not the Sam Loomis from Halloween. So they're
maybe that's what he did before he did that with Michael Myers.
Who knows?
Yep. Okay.
Anyways, so they're kind of having a little afternoon romp. Not that you see that, because they're kind of still dressed a little bit and they're just talking, which we were kind of talking like, why are they meeting up in a hotel where she's not married and he's divorced?
Yep.
And
what's the big deal?
My thing was saying, I think because of the times back then, the way culture and proper and all that fun stuff was, like an unmarried woman and an unmarried man weren't seen together in certain scenarios. But anyways, that's neither here.
Moving right along.
That's neither here nor there. So they're having a conversation, and she's basically like, well, if you're not going to be serious, or, you know, let you come to dinner, meet my sister, I'm ending the relationship. And he's like, well, I can't be good to you because I'm living in the back of a stock room paying alimony to my ex-wife.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of,
you know, just kind of stuff. Well, they eventually work things out to an extent.
Yep.
Where she's like, okay, well, we'll do this. You adjusting, my friend?
Yeah.
Well, we can't see you.
You can see me.
So, anyways, Marion goes back to work. Sam goes wherever he's going. He said he had a plane or something to catch. And they're in Phoenix, Arizona, I believe.
Where was he at?
Can't remember where he lived.
She was going to drive to his place.
Well, she goes eventually to California. Spoilers.
Well, yeah, we said that. Spoiler.
But we'll get to that point. So Marion goes back to work, and there's this other girl she works with. I don't know if it's like a real estate office or exactly where she works at.
I thought because that dude bought a
right, and they're saying about leases and buying houses and all that. So I'm assuming it's kind of like a real estate. So there's like her other girl that's there that's like a newlywed going on about different chatty things. And they're like, oh, how's your headache doing? She goes, oh, it's still there. But and then
take some tranquilizers.
Yeah, her coworker offers her tranquilizers. So, anyways, her boss comes walking in with this cowboy, old money looking older Jimmy. Like he has old money. You could tell he's had money for years. He comes from old money. It's a little bit of a term.
Okay, never heard of that.
Anyways, because they say about old money, new money. That's maybe it's because I'm thinking Titanic. But anyways,
whatever.
The guy's coming in and he's going on about how his little girl's 18, getting married, so he's buying her a house.
Nice.
And he comes and puts $40,000 in cash right down on the desk.
Just like you would do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he goes, if I don't have enough money in cash to pay for it, then I'm not buying or something. Because her boss is like, well, why don't you go get like a cashier's check or something else? Because he just felt uncomfortable with that amount of cash in the office.
Obviously, he don't care. He's like, I got lots of
Yeah,
money.
the old guy's going on and on.
Here
And
you
he
go.
goes in her boss's office, and her boss looks at Marion and says, get the deeds together or the papers for whatever property he's buying. And then he goes, and get that money to the bank. I don't even want it in the office over the weekend. Because he's trying to
Sure.
tell the guy to sit on it and everything and think about it over the weekend, because I think he's kind of a little lit.
Sure.
Because he's saying
I
about
wouldn't
the
take
alcohol that
money.
her boss has in his office. Because remember, he's saying, where's that bottle of what? I can't remember what it was. And he's
Oops.
like, oops, I shouldn't have said that. And he was like, anyway, so Marion gets the papers together, takes them into her boss, and she goes, do you mind if I go home after I go to the bank? I have a slight headache. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, just go ahead and go. That's fine.
We
'cause it's
know what
Friday.
she's going to do. Uh-huh.
So she leaves. We cut away back to Marion's house. Suitcase on the bed.
Oh, she lives in a house?
It's apartment. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, we're in her bedroom.
Ooh.
There's
Nice.
suitcase on the bed, and the money's sitting on her bed as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
she
not
starts,
tempting at all.
yeah, she starts packing a suitcase and then leaves town with the $40,000 in cash.
Hey, back then, you could probably have gotten away with it. How would they prove that back then?
I don't know.
She could have been like, oh.
So she's going to get out of town, and she's sitting at a red light, and all of a sudden her boss walks by with that cowboy guy.
What are the odds?
And he's kind of looking all confused, and she's like, oh, crap. Well, she keeps going out of town.
She should have waited till nighttime to do that.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I
she
would've
just
done.
keeps going out of town, and it goes to the next morning. Her car's pulled over on the side of the road.
She's sleeping.
She's asleep. We don't know that right away. This police officer sees the car, thinks it's abandoned, pulls in behind her.
That cop is weird looking.
Yeah.
He almost looks like Bogey. Okay, I'm dating myself now.
So he goes, looks in the car, sees her asleep across the front seat, taps on the window, kind of like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, well, I just got tired. I didn't mean to sleep this late. Well, then he has to see her license and registration or something. And
Why?
she starts, she starts getting like all weirded.
I did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
I don't look suspicious. I don't look guilty.
Weirded out. So he's like very suspicious that something's going on. So she does what he wants, and she's like, okay, well, I'm free to go. So she goes. The officer kind of follows her for a little bit. And of course, she's looking in the mirror, kind of freaking out. And she's also playing all these different scenarios in her head about like her boss finding out that she took the money, the guy she took the money from is going to hunt her down, and
wow, she's
how
paranoid.
things are going to be perfect when she gets to Sam. And
She's a paranoid person, right?
yes, very paranoid. So eventually, as she's driving down the road, the cop goes off and exits. She keeps going straight.
She's like,
so she's like, okay, cool. So she gets into this little town, wherever she is in California, which I can't remember where. And hold on a second. You had a piece of fur like really sticking out there.
sorry.
And she pulls into a dealership, a car dealership. And
I'm listening.
yeah, well, one of the salespeople come out and he goes, well, what can I help you with, lady? Da da da. And she's like, how much? She wants to trade her car and get another car.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
And he was like, do you have papers? Is there anything wrong? And she goes, no, just let me know how much and then how much I owe you. So he goes, well, why don't you go look around, maybe test drive a couple things. So she looks around and he goes, oh, I knew, like she stops at the one and she's being very persistent on just taking it.
I'm gonna get some water. Give me a second.
She's very persistent on just taking it, like not test driving it or anything. And he goes, well, this is the first time I've been haggled by the customer driving a harder deal than the salesperson or something along those lines.
Ugh.
So
that's good water. Sorry.
He goes, probably with your card, and it's $700.
That's good. I'm like, whoa.
So I mean, we're thinking we're back in 1960, by the way. So.
Yeah. Okay. That would be like what? Maybe 3,000 today.
I think it'd be more than that.
Well, it should be.
So basically, like she's saying, he's like, well, I'll get your car checked. I'll go draw up the papers. She goes to the restroom, takes out $700 in cash from the 40 grand she has.
Just like you do with your purse.
Yeah. Because I carry so much money on me. So, and then she gets the paper together, her ownership card, whatever. Where are you going?
No, I'm just playing. Okay, go ahead.
Basically, they get everything signed. She
I like
hurry.
to play.
Oh, and also too, the cop shows up in all this and is kind of watching her
He's
from
watching her.
across the
Yeah,
street.
he's like,
So she like wants to just get out of there. So
I'm watching you, lady.
the cop
I'm
pulls
watching
in as she's getting
you.
ready to pull out with the new car. Well, she almost pulls away and leaves her suitcase and coat in her old car.
That ain't suspicious.
So she's like, oh, just hurry up and throw it on the passenger seat. And then she leaves.
Okay,
The
bye.
cop's like, so then she's leaving. She's playing all these scenario again in her head with the cop and
Wow, talk about
the
paranoid.
salesperson talking. So eventually she pulls into the Bates Motel.
Scary.
Yeah. And it's pouring down rain too at this point. It's real. I forgot to mention that. Like it's rainy and everything
Thundering
else.
and raining.
So she pulls in, climbs out on the passenger side to go into the office. Nobody's around. So she climbs back in her car and starts beeping the horn because there's this huge house up behind where the hotel is.
Cool
or
house.
cabins, as they call them.
Yep.
Which actually, I love the house. I wouldn't mind having that myself. Anyways, Norman Bates comes down. They make the arrangements for her to rent. She's renting to stay in cabin 1 because it's right next to the office, and that way, if she need anything, he can help her out.
He knows why he wants her in there.
Yeah, we know why she wants her in there. So she was asking questions about where she was at, and she goes, "Oh, I kind of thought I missed some turnoff or something." And I guess she was closer to meeting up with Sam than what she thought.
15 miles.
Or something like that, and she didn't realize where she was at or whatever because of the weather.
15 miles.
And apparently, because Norman keeps saying, well, nobody comes by unless they make a wrong turn since they built the new highway. So, makes arrangements, helps her get her stuff into the room, and she was saying about getting something to eat, and he goes, oh, you don't want to go back out in this rain? I'll have you come up to the house, and I'll make you something. So he goes, go ahead, get settled, and I'll call you when it's ready. So she goes into the room and opens the windows. Norman goes up to the house, and all of a sudden we hear Norman fighting with his mother. And she's like, you're not bringing no woman up here, blah, 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 blah. Just going on and on.
Yeah, she's mean.
So
You think it might have been his wife. She's so mean.
So Norman's like, no, she's not like that. And he's like arguing back and forth with her. So he comes down with a tray of food.
I would not have ate it.
And Marion's standing outside the cabin, and he's like, oh, you heard all that. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's cool. And he goes, well, I have a parlor back behind the office part if you want to come back. So they go back into this back part behind the office. It's like just this little extra room.
That's creepy.
He has all these stuffed birds all over the place, bird pictures everywhere, a bunch of random stuff. Are you having fun?
You want to go back to my parlor
and
eat some food I just brought down from my creepy house?
Yeah, really. So they're sitting back there, Marion's eating, and they're kind of chatting, and she was kind of saying about, she has a long drive back tomorrow because she needs to go back and basically atone for some things she's done, which is, taking the money and figuring out how she's going to pay back.
She feels bad about it.
Yeah, so I think she feels guilty, and they're kind of chatting, and she says about his mother, and he's like, well, a boy's best friend is his mother, and all that. And she kind of, I think, offends Norman at this point because she suggests about maybe putting her in a home or something.
Yeah.
So basically, so he can have a life, and he's like, and she's like,
he has a life, all right.
Yeah. So basically, at that point, Marion's like, I'm gonna go ahead and go to bed. I have a long drive tomorrow. I want to be up at dawn or whatever. Also, she signs into the hotel under a fake name. I don't know if that's really important, but
well, they check it later.
Yeah, they check it later. So she returns to her room, starts organizing a couple things, figuring out, if she wants to order anything.
I'm sorry.
I mean, not order anything. Yeah, we're having issues on this one. And then she's going and undressing, and all of a sudden, Norman takes a picture off the wall in his place, and guess what's behind it?
That's cool, though. I like that.
A peephole.
I would do that. Don't tell anybody, but I probably would do that.
So he's kind of watching her a little bit, and then he puts the picture back up and leaves. So she's getting ready, gets in the shower, she's cleaning up and everything. And of course, we all know what happens during the shower scene. Norman's mother comes in, kills poor Marion, stabs her to death, which is actually not a real bloody scene.
And then she falls over.
Yeah. And I was even, and you can actually tell in some of this, like they're blurring out, like her chest. Yeah. They're blurring out stuff, so.
Stuff.
Yep.
And then she falls over in the bathtub.
Yeah. And that's it. So then you hear Norman yelling, "Mother, no," and he goes, cleans it up.
No!
He cleans up everything, puts her body in the back of her car, takes all her evidence.
I like how he wraps her up in the shower.
Yeah, wraps her up in the shower curtain, and there's a swamp.
So funny. Why is that funny?
Behind the house, and he kind of sinks the car back there.
Convenient.
Problem solved. So we think. So it cuts the next scene. Excuse me.
Sure.
Marion's sister. Lila? Is that her name?
I don't know. We'll just call her the other blonde chick.
I think it's Lila. I don't remember, though. But Marion's sister shows up to see Sam.
Here, give me a second.
Now we can't see it.
Oh, no, falling!
So, her sister shows up at where Sam works. And he's like, is Marion here, like, going on? They just want the money back. Well, her sister was followed by a private investigator that was hired. So he's like, Sam, are you hiding her? So on and so forth. And Sam's like, I have no clue what you're even talking about. So he goes, well, he's not letting them off the hook. He's like, I'm still going to go out and investigate. Are you going to be around here? I'll be back. And they're like, yeah, we're not going anywhere. So the private detective takes off, the private eye. I don't remember his name.
We'll call him. No, I won't say it.
No, we'll just call him PI guy. So he eventually ends up at the Bates Motel. Kind of talks to Norman, and he's like, "Oh no, nobody's been here." But Norman kind of keeps twisting up his stories, and he can't
keep his story straight.
Yeah, so eventually he admits, yeah, she was here, but she left early the next morning, so she was driving back to Phoenix.
Yep.
So the PI is like, "Oh, can I go talk?" He sees the silhouette of his mother, Norman's mother, up in the house. And he's like, "Oh, can I go talk to her?" And Norman's like, no, you're upsetting. You need to leave. So the PI guy's like, okay, bye.
He's like, bye, see ya.
So he stops at a payphone, calls Sam, and I'm going to say Lila because I think that's her name. He calls them and basically...
It don't say in the back, does it?
That's what I was checking.
Maybe it does.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Anyways, calls them and basically says, I stopped at this motel. They said Marion was here, but she left. And he goes, I think
sorry,
he's hiding something. So I'm going to go back and try and investigate. He says about the mother, just hang loose. I'll call you back in about an hour. And I don't think Sam knows anything about this. So the PI goes back to the hotel. He wants to try to talk to Norman's mother. Norman's not anywhere to be found, so he sneaks up to the house, and the door's unlocked.
Another unlocked door?
Yeah, a lot of these... Well, you gotta figure, though, it's out in the middle of nowhere. They probably never lock the door.
Yeah,
he goes upstairs and tries to find Mrs. Bates.
Mrs. Bates.
And all of a sudden, when he's going back down the steps...
Yeah, that part's funny.
Mrs. Bates comes running out of the bedroom and stabs him, so he falls down the steps. Norman cleans up the mess and sinks his car in the swamp.
That's a pretty deep swamp.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking, because there's at least 2 cars that we know of in this swamp now. So, cuts back to Sam and Lila, Marion's sister. Like I said, I don't know if that's her correct name, and I apologize. And she's getting impatient, like what's going on,
well,
and so on. She's like, he said he was going to call, and he didn't. Do you think he took off? And Sam's like, I'll go out and check. And he tells her to stay there. So Sam goes out, doesn't find anything.
Nope.
Comes back, and they're like, well, let's go talk to the sheriff, I think it is, or something.
Some other police guy, yeah.
Some other police authority figure.
Not exactly sure.
So they go, and it's like the middle of the night pretty much, too. Or it's like 11 o'clock at night. Maybe it's not middle of the night, but late enough.
Yeah, he tells them about how her mom's been dead for 10 years
Yeah,
in the
well,
cemetery.
they go, talk to him, let them know what's going on. They're like, well, what do you think this PI guy took off or found a guy lead, or he's taking the money or something? And they're going on. And they actually call Norman. He answers. He's like, no, nobody's been here. Nothing's going on. You don't hear that side of the conversation. But the sheriff police person hangs up, and
Whoever
he was
he
like,
is.
no, nobody's out there, and they were saying about Norman's mother, and they're like, no, he lives there alone. Mom's been dead for like 10 years.
Everybody's
And,
like, what?
and they're like, what? Well, they're reporting about seeing this woman out there. So they leave. I know they follow up with him the next day, which is, I think, Sunday, because they find him coming out of church to ask him something. And they're like, I'll just come over tonight for dinner. We'll file a missing person report on your sister.
Nope.
That doesn't work for those two.
Nope. We gotta get to the bottom of this.
They decide to drive back out to the Bates Motel and pose as husband and wife.
Yep.
So they get a room, go to the room. Well, while they're walking back towards the cabin, they're putting like cabin 6 or something. Marion's sister goes out and hear the room 1's unlocked. And she hurry up and closes the door. They go to the cabin and kind of discuss some things. So then they go and look, and Norman's nowhere to be found. So they go and investigate cabin 1. They find the piece of paper that Marion left behind that didn't flush.
She should have checked that.
She flushed something down the toilet earlier.
He should have checked that.
Yeah.
Not a very good cleanup.
So they were saying about trying to get up the house to talk to her mother. Oh, before all this too, I forgot to mention, they have a scene where Norman's in his mom's bedroom and they're arguing back and forth. And he says about taking her down to the fruit cellar. And she's like, no, you're not taking me down there. This is just significant. That's why I'm adding it in now. And eventually he carries her down the steps.
Isn't that nice?
So Sam and Lila, whatever her name is, were like, okay, Sam, like, I'll go distract Norman. You try to sneak up the house and see if you can talk to the mom.
Yep.
So Sam leaves the cabin number 1, and Norman's kind of hanging outside the office. So Sam goes in, and they're chatting away, and then Lila sneaks up to the house. Door's not locked. So they cut back and forth between us. They're like, Sam and Norman's talking about stuff, and then they show her sister exploring the different rooms, and there's some oddities and other things in the house. It's very
trespassing.
Very, very strange. Well, then Sam kind of starts going like, you know where the money's at. You know where Mary, like he basically
he doesn't.
He comes out and is like, you know what happened to her. And
he doesn't know the money.
And him and Norman and Sam kind of tussle, and Norman knocks him out with like a clock or something.
Yeah, that's kind of weak.
Hits him in the head, kind of knocks him unconscious temporarily. Well, Lila's trying to explore through the house, and she looks out the window, and there's Norman running up to the house. So she hurries up, runs down the steps, and hides down by this other door downstairs. Norman comes in, goes upstairs. Well, then she was going to sneak out, but then she sees this door. So she opens the door, creeps down, and it leads to the fruit cellar. So she gets into the one room down there and sees Mrs. Bates sitting in the chair. And she's like, oh my God, Mrs. Bates. She goes and turns around, and Mrs. Bates is a corpse. So at that point, too, she's like, obviously screams, freaks out. Norman knows where she's at. He comes running down with an old lady wig and a dress on with a knife coming after her. Sam shows up, detains them, cut away to the police station.
And a big monologue or whatever.
Yeah, they're basically going on.
Stuff that you would understand that I wouldn't.
Yeah, because you were asking me, you understand all this they're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, even for being in 1960, basically, they're saying he killed his mother's lover.
Okay.
And then killed his mother.
Okay.
Then he stole her body and weighted down the casket.
That's a lot of work. How do you get away with all that?
And basically what it came down to at that point is he kind of almost, I shouldn't say almost, he developed like multiple personalities with one personality being Norman and one personality being his mother's.
Okay.
And the mother personality, I think, is a little more dominant because I think it's a psychiatrist, is explaining like, yeah, I got a confession, but it wasn't from Norman, it was from the mother, and now she was saying about covering up for him being weak, and basically now, like, the mother personality now has become the dominant personality.
Sure, okay. Whatever.
Which I know sometimes with, it's not called multiple personalities anymore, it's called something else, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called right now. But basically, I know they talk about, I've seen a few things where sometimes one personality will dominate over the others. And they'll sometimes try to merge the personalities together, but that's getting a little beyond my education.
Mine too.
Yeah. As I joke, I don't have enough initials after my name to understand some things, but basically, they're saying, one of the officers comes in and they're like, well, I don't remember he said he's cold or she says she's cold.
I think she did because his mom.
He goes, is it okay if I give her a blanket? And they're like, yeah, go ahead and give it to her.
It's not like he's gonna hang himself with it.
Right. So they give him the blanket. So they cut to Norman sitting in the cell, isolative thing. I don't know. And has a blanket, and it's the mother monologuing at this point, basically going on about him. And he goes, well, who would believe an old woman would do this stuff? And there's this fly, and they're like, I'm not even going to kill this fly. Just watch me. And that's kind of where it ends. I have not seen Psycho 2 or 3, so I don't know where it goes from here. But that's kind of where
they're all right.
Goes a little bit.
2's good. 3's okay.
Now do you want to review the remake?
We kind of just did.
I was going to say, just rewatch this video. They did a remake of Psycho in 98. I was going to say 98, and I was thinking 97. It's pretty much a scene for scene remake minus some modernizing some of the stuff like the cars and other things like that, but it is literally a scene for scene remake. So it's like I have watched this first, and then I watched the remake, and like literally scene for scene, pointless, and not in the fact Vince Vaughn is not a good Norman Bates in my eyes.
I don't know Vince Vaughn. I never saw
I know he's done some series.
He's in Jurassic Park, right? Wasn't he in one of the Jurassic Parks? Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't remember.
Oh, well.
Because I've only seen like the second and third Jurassic Park like once or twice. And
maybe if Karen remembers, she'll post it in the bottom.
Yeah, maybe if I remember.
Yes, he was in this
But I always think of him more as a comedic actor. Not to say that comedic actors can't do serious roles, but I just don't think he was a good fit for this role.
Nobody
in
was.
The remake.
Well, maybe Bruce Campbell.
I like William H. Macy. I think
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell should play Norman Bates. That could be interesting.
I'm not for that.
That could be interesting.
No,
hey,
okay, I want to say this.
Suggestion.
Yes, wait, I'm going to bring this out to see Bruce Campbell. I want to see Bruce Campbell play Batman. Put that in the comments if you want to see Bruce Campbell play Batman.
We've totally gotten off track with this.
Okay, well, that's because, we're
talking about how certain people shouldn't play certain roles.
Yeah, so we weren't off topic.
So, like I said,
next.
This is amazing. This is the one I would say to watch. The remake. Yeah. I mean, if you watch the remake, watch this.
Well, watch them both and leave comments and see what's
watch them both. Give me your opinion.
Maybe you like something better in the remake. Maybe you're the kind of person who does not like black and white. Some people don't like black and white.
Yeah. Some movies I don't like in black and white, but like this, I think this adds to it being in black and white.
Just like Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, there's just certain movies I think there's more to it being done in black and white. Yeah, we'll have to review that sometimes. That's another good one. Like I said, we're getting off track now.
All right.
So that's going to be it for this review. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when I keep saying when we post new content.
Well, it's your channel.
Yeah, I know. Just here.
Well, it's our channel. I'm just a fill-in.
Even though I do the editing and the uploading. And
I'm just a fill-in.
So, share my page if you want. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
That's it. If you haven't checked this out, check this out.
Yep.
It's good on Blu-ray. It's very clear on Blu-ray.
Yep, it is good.
I will say that.
Picture is great.
Okay. We'll see you guys in the next review. Bye.